And you'll hear her go, and so go out and blah, 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 and carry the light. 1, 2. We have all witnessed your presence. We have received your grace. We give you honor and glory for moving in this place. Now we go out to share the good news. Now we go out to share your love. Now we go out to share the good. Wish I had a video. We go out to share your love. Carry the light, carry the light, carry the light to all the earth. Carry the light, carry the light, carry the light of Jesus. Carry the light, carry the light to all the earth. Carry the light, carry the light, carry the light of Jesus.
Okay, don't start till I get back there.
Now, yeah, that's the whole thing. Just starts with that. And Dustin's not here. So who's doing me? Well, good morning, second service. We're so glad you're here. My name is Chris. I'm the director of music, and our second service kind of has a contemporary feel. It's a little more laid back, a little bit shorter. So if we're singing, you can be singing too. Feel free to stand and clap and do anything you want. We're just going to raise the spirit in here, and ready to go, Pastor Sarah? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
So we invite you to stand in body or in spirit as we sing together.
Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are before your God. Come. Every day we live in the light of God's love. Every day we walk by faith. Now we're here to open our hearts once more. Now we give thanks for grace. Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are before your God. Come.
creation justice
global missions,
Progressive Christian Congregation
of the United Church of Christ.
Here we strive to be a multicultural,
multi-generational,
creative community,
sharing in joy,
living with love.
and seeking justice as we walk humbly with God.
and we're so glad you're here to join us on the journey. Let's worship.
Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are before your God. Come. Every day we live in the light of God's love. My bad. Every day we walk by faith. Now we're here to open our hearts once more. Now we give thanks for grace.
Once again, welcome to our IUCC community. I'm Pastor Sarah, and I'm so glad that you are here with us. If this is your first time with us, we especially want to thank you for joining us. If you're watching online, thank you for tuning in. We are a proud, inclusive congregation. We're glad to include you into our circle this morning. Lots of things to tell you about. I'll do that in just a moment. But first of all, I just want to say, if it's your first time, we'd love to get to know you and hope you'll stay for a little conversation after the service. And we have some little green cards that are here physically. Otherwise, we would love if you poked around on our website, got to know us there, and figured out if you could sign up with our little QR code. Is that coming up here? Not that one. Have a little get to know you card that's right outside. You can go to iucc.org/visitor for that. But with that, you could download our bulletin. We are a non-bulletin printing church. We try to stay from paper whenever possible. So download this bulletin. I'll share a little bit more with you in a couple of minutes. But we are so glad that you are here. Let's continue to worship.
Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are before your God. Come.
A few more announcements without the background music. You can sit for a second and then we'll come back up and say hello. But I did want to thank you for coming here and welcome you on this Pledge Sunday. I wanted an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about what's happening and what's going on here at IUCC. As I mentioned briefly, we are a church that doesn't print bulletins, and the reason why is we're a green faith community. So we try to make decisions that would help contribute to the environment's success. And one of those things we're doing right now is putting solar panels on our property so we can get solar energy. That's a twofold for us. One, we hope to make a difference in contributing to solar energy and being mindful in the ways that we are actively using energy. But two, it's going to improve the cost of our energy, and we'll be looking to 2026 to see how that pans out in our electric bills. That's important because today is Pledge Sunday. We'll be talking more about that in a little bit, but Pledge Sunday is an opportunity for us to make our pledges so we can budget for the next year. So if you're new to IUCC, we don't necessarily expect you to make a pledge. We are thankful for that. You'll hear more about it in just a moment, but it's a way for us to budget for our next year. And so we're doing Pledge Sunday today. Our Stephen Ministry is meeting after church, and Stephen Ministry is going to have a special Sunday this next coming Sunday. And we are going to be recognizing the Stephen ministers within our congregation and having a special Stephen Ministry Sunday, which will be a service of prayer and reflection. And I hope that you'll join us for that. I also want to let you know that we have a very special relationship with University Synagogue, which is a Reconstructionist Jewish community. And for 13 years, they worshiped right here at IUCC. They've had their own building for, close to 20 years now. And we've continued to share in our Thanksgiving worships together. We're going to be worshiping with them on Friday, November 21st for our Thanksgiving shared service. And you all are invited to attend with us. It's going to be at University Synagogue, and that's particularly special this year because they've decided to sell their building, so we don't know if they're even going to have it in a year from now. So this may be our last shared Thanksgiving experience at their home. I'll also let you know that since they started with us, I certainly invited them to come back home. We'll find out where they end up going next. They'll eventually buy something somewhere, but wouldn't it be nice to welcome our cousins back to IUCC? So please consider coming with us, and if you want more information, I'd be happy to tell you more about it. But with that, I've done a lot of talking. This is our fun time in second service to say hello to one another. So say hi to the person next to you, and then we'll come back with a gong and a song.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're going to come back now. Please stand in body or spirit. We're going to sing a song called I See a Church, and it's a little bit crazy. You're going to see the words just keep adding and adding and adding. But follow along. Our interns and myself will help you through it, and it's a really fun song. So here we go. Let's sing I See a Church. 1, 2.
We stand in body or in spirit.
I see a church with a vision. I see a church on a mission. I see a church who has made her mind up, and she's building her hopes on things eternal. She's holding to God's unchanging hand. I see a church with a vision. I see a church on a mission. I see a church with its doors open wide, and the poor and the rich worship God side by side. I see a church who has made her mind up, and she's building her hopes on things eternal. She's holding to God's unchanging hand. I see a church with a vision. I see a church on a mission. I see a church who has made her mind up, and she's building.
And the rich worship God side by side, and the young and the old have to put down their pride. I see a church who has made
Her mind up, and she's building a house of things eternal. She's holding to God's unchanging hand. I see a church with a vision. I see a church on a mission. I see a church with its doors open wide, and the poor and the rich worship God side by side.
and the young
And the old have both put down their pride.
yes, we who seem different don't have to hide.
I see a church who has made her mind up, and she's building a house on things eternal. She's holding to God's unchanging hand. She's holding to God's unchanging hand.
It's time for Fresh Word.
Hey, street cats! We're back for another episode of Fresh Word, meow. Today is Pledge Sunday, the final day of our stewardship campaign when we raise funds for the church. IUCC stays open thanks to cool cats like you who financially support the ministries we do. You know what scares me more than having to take a bath? The idea of IUCC closing forever. How does that make you feel?
I would be sad because there wouldn't be any more snacks and, yeah.
How would you feel if IUCC closed forever?
I would be very sad because most of all my friends are here and there will be no snacks.
I would feel really sad because it's just a home to me, and they helped me figure out my sexuality and stuff, and I really appreciate the people talking to me, and I feel like it going bye-bye wouldn't be my favorite. We need IUCC.
I feel sad because I grew up here and I really like my friends here. They're kind of my family to me, and I really like trunk or treat because we get to dress up in our costumes and we get to have fun, and I really like this church.
Sad. Because there was no more snacks.
If IUCC closes, think of what'll happen to the animals that depend on coffee hour snacks. Me and the crows and the squirrels are gonna starve, meow. We don't got no SNAP benefits like you who-mans do. You talking to me? This is my turf, pal. These crows are way too smart. If it wasn't for me keeping watch, there wouldn't be any food left by the time service is over, meow. Thanks to all of you who have submitted your pledges to keep IUCC going. It's thanks to you that IUCC has been around for 45 years, doing justice, loving kindness, and snacking humbly with God. That's how the verse goes, right? Well, anyway, until next time, street cats, keep it fresh.
Good morning. I'm Connie Jones, your moderator, and I'm representing the Fund Development Committee. As you remember, our pledge campaign hopes to have $375,000 raised in pledges, and we're doing really well, everybody. We are up to 84% in pledges, and we only need about 30 more people who pledged last year, but if each of those shared, it would only be $1,900 a month or a year, excuse me, or $162 a month. So this is the last Sunday you're going to see my thermometer until next year. So if you haven't pledged yet, please consider pledging so we know what programs we can maintain. Thank you.
Hi, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how churches sustain themselves, some churches like this one do it through pledges, and that's what we're talking about with the Stewardship Campaign, is how can we be good stewards of our resources and still support this church and have this church be a good steward of its resources. So we're at the end of that campaign, and I am doing the ministry moment. And I have the opportunity to place the final plank on our Groundwork for Growth display. Yay. Yeah, it's grow. All right, so this church, this congregation, we've been on a journey together throughout this year, and we've been required to firm up our foundation, and I do mean required, not only metaphorically, but actually physically, because our smaller dome, Plummer Hall, had cracks in its foundation, and so we had to assess that situation. We had to repair the cracks, honor the legacy of what that mini dome has meant to this church over the years, because that was the original church building, and then how we can grow and help that legacy grow into a useful and pleasant home for our members, from the very, very young to the most senior, and for others that would like to use our campus and become part of our IUCC orbit. But there's still some work to be done, and we will face those growing pains as we need to. So after the repairs to Plummer and during this stewardship campaign, it just seemed fitting to consider what groundwork we still need to do to continue to grow as a congregation, not only by attracting new members, and I do see some new faces here, which is fabulous, but by each of us individually and in community doing whatever groundwork we need to do to keep our faith vibrant, spiritually in tune, and growing stronger. And sometimes doing groundwork is dirty and discouraging. Sometimes we need help or we need new tools to keep the process going. And a lot of times we end up sweaty and dirty. But you know what? Most of our growth takes place when we have to dig into uncomfortable situations. Discomfort can be a strong motivator if we let it, if we don't run from it, or try to numb ourselves in a large variety of different ways, and if we don't bury our heads in the sand. That's when it's helpful to remind ourselves of what our foundation really is. What are we truly building our house of faith on? There's a parable in Matthew chapter 7 that Jesus tells about building a house on the rock. And you do that by following his teachings. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and put them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, but it didn't fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. And the rain came, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Now, that parable also reminds me of a hymn that's in our New Century hymnal. The first verse reads, "My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' love and righteousness. I dare not trust this earthly frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name." And the refrain goes, "On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand." And what's interesting to me is that that's not the original version of that song. The original version of that song starts, "My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness." Well, in this progressive Christian denomination, we've been given permission to let go of elements of old theology that no longer serve us, old teachings of atonement, and we stand on more expansive views of a firmer foundation, one that's built on love that Jesus came to explain how to do. He taught about the love of God, the Holy Creator. Jesus taught us what God's love looks like in practice, caring for the marginalized in society, responding to uncomfortable situations with love rather than violence, forgiving many more times than we want to, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. That may even include inviting to lunch someone with whom you do not agree politically. Just saying. As my husband often says, he was teaching us how to live a Jesus-patterned life. So how do we continue to grow? Well, one way is to let go of positions outgrown and embrace new ways of sharing the love of God. And that often requires us to look back, to look inward, to look around, and to look forward. Sometimes we're reluctant to let go of the cherished symbols we love so much from our past. But we can continue to cherish them, but we may also need to acknowledge that they don't necessarily mean as much to the people who are coming to us today. Children, young adults, or the unchurched. How can we embrace them with fresh, loving, and open hearts? Well, one significant way is to practice opening our hearts to new ways of thinking and seeing God's love all around us and expressed through us. It takes patience, and it takes practice. So most of you won't remember the prayer that I offered at the end of my sermon as we approached 2025. It was the end of the year, and I gave the sermon. And this is what I said, because I knew that 2025 was going to be a challenging year for many of us, and it has been. So this was my prayer for this year. Holy Creator, with your help I will survive, and with your help I will learn to thrive. And with your help, I will face the challenges of 2025. That was my prayer. And I've done that throughout the year. And I can honestly say that I have grown throughout this year in ways I did not expect by holding on to that prayer daily and doing the groundwork it demanded of me and firming my foundation of faith by striving to more faithfully live a Jesus-patterned life. I am very grateful for this church and this community.
I invite you all to take a deep breath with me as we center ourselves for the rest of today's service. Today we gather on sacred ground, the ground of our shared story, our faith, and our community. We come to give thanks for the foundation that holds us, assessing our needs and our call, seeking to repair what has been broken, strengthening the ties between us. We honor those who came before, whose courage and generosity built this church. And now we are ready to grow, to plant seeds of hope for what God will do next. This is the work of love made visible, the offering of our gifts, our time, our faith. Together, we firm the foundation and lay the groundwork for growth. May we grow with God in gratitude, community, and faith.
Lord, listen to your children pray. Lord, send your spirit in this place. Lord, listen to your children pray. Send us love, send us power, send us grace.
Holy Lord, listen to your children praying. We come to you with the weight of the world on our shoulders, each of us carrying something. We pause now to think about all that we're holding. The worries of family, our hopes for the future, the challenge of work, the fear of illness, the worry for our world, and the simple and yet often so complex task it is to simply be human. We come bearing all of this as we meet you this morning in community. We're also aware that we are days away from observing Veterans Day, a day within our nation where we recognize veterans who have served our military in times of war. Perhaps for those of us who have never been soldiers, we have no concept of what it must be like to have to face hell on earth. And so we pause now to recognize that we should never have to put any human through that, and yet our siblings too often are put in situations where they have to face the great burden of being warriors. And so many, when they've come home, they have been forgotten. May we be mindful to care for all of our siblings. And on this Veterans Day, commit ourselves once again to be people of peace, so that no one will have to do that dirty work for us. And likewise, we now lift up the prayers of our church and our world as we give voice to that which we hold on our heart. Lord, listen to your children praying.
Pray for trans and non-binary rights and lives.
For Palestinians and anybody who's going hungry, that because either food cannot be given quickly enough or it cannot be received. For gays and lesbians who are in marriages that they fear maybe ended not by their own choice, but by that of the government. And for our brother Keller, who was a second service attendee, as he wishes he were with us this morning in his healing. For the prayers that we say out loud, and the ones we hold deep inside, meet us in our woundedness, hold us in our brokenness, shine your healing light upon us so that we can face a new day recognizing both our responsibility to step into the new day and the opportunity to step with those who walk alongside us, mirroring your love and your light in community. For all these things and all these people and you manifested in our creation, we give thanks. Oh Lord, listen to the prayers of your children, and together we say, Amen.
Lord, listen to your children pray. Lord, send your spirit in this place. Lord, listen to your children pray. Send us love, send us power, send us grace. Send us love, send us power, send us grace.
And now as we come together, we recognize that we are called to be gifts in this world and gifts in this community. We are about to take the offering to give of our financial gifts, but we're aware that we're each called to give of our gifts. And here at Second Service, we're especially mindful of what that means to create community. We've been invited to think about if we could contribute more deacons to our community. We're so grateful for the deacons that we have. Thank you for being here. And the chair of our deacon ministry just happens to be Maria Carrillo right here. And perhaps you might feel interested in joining in this ministry. It's a very simple ministry, and yet one of the most important we have among us. And if you'd like to know more about it, Maria would love to tell you, or Christine, who's a regular Second Service deacon. But it involves just simply being a leader in the church, and a big piece of that is taking the offering. We also have an opportunity to serve as we consider how we do our hospitality ministry. We're constantly trying to rethink that, and Maria and I have had a conversation about how we can do our cookie and coffee time better. This came up in our conversations about how we wanted to include an intentional time of fellowship. So we'd love to have that conversation with you. And my hope is that within our service, we can continue to find leaders to grow intentionally this second service. Our first service is a different style of service if you're here for your first time, but this service is particularly special because we're a small community, and we recognize that each of our gifts truly is the offering that enables us to do and be church together. So while you are invited to make a financial gift this morning, you might also consider making a pledge. There are potentially some pledge cards available. Maybe our deacons have some. No, not right now. Oh, the pledge cards are right in the back of the narthex. If you're able to make a pledge, you could do that during the offering time. We'll be blessing the pledges later. A gift of your financial gift is always welcome, and there's several ways to give. But please be mindful that particularly in this service, we want to figure out how we can give together to really create this community and strengthen the bond we have. So, as a reminder, it's you and it's me. We are the offering.
We lift our voices, we lift our hands, we lift our lives up to you. We are an offering. God, use our voices. God, use our hands. God, use our lives. They are yours. We are an offering. All that we have, all that we are, all that we hold to be, we give to you. We give to you. We lift our voices, we lift our hands. We are an offering. We are an offering.
I'm going to come down here. I hope this isn't going to be too hard for Bobby. There we go. I just want to kind of come a little closer. We're second service. Let's cuddle up. Let's hug up. No, you don't have to hug up. I just want to be with you. So this morning's scripture reading comes to us out of 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 through 8. The point is this: the one who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and the one who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each of you must give as you have made up your mind, not regretfully or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance, so that by always having enough of everything, you may share abundantly in every good work. So last week at first service, the kids did a skit, and this skit had to do with people coming to church, and then as they walked out the door, there was a cash register that tallied up the amount that everybody owed. And they said, okay, well, you here today, and you listen to the music, that's gonna cost you, and you hear, oh, you've got a kid in Sunday school, that's, and then she would give out these bills to everybody. And it was kind of a hilarious skit. The woman who led the cashier has a great knack for humor and the way she delivered it. But as I was reflecting on this skit, which was definitely meant to be hyperbolic, we don't give you a receipt at the end, a bill nor a receipt at the end of the service. Although I guess we do give you a receipt at the end of the year if you've been giving and you're writing it off in your taxes. So we do that, but we don't bill you for service time, like the sermon costs you this much. No, it doesn't. But the idea of this checkout counter at church kind of had me thinking about the realities of how much it actually costs to do church. And I know there are folks that are really mindful of that because it costs to keep our lights on, to have our tech team, to ensure that our music team is here. And we have to figure out ways to pay for it. Did you know that synagogues actually send a bill every year? Anybody? Yeah, some people know that. It's true. They get a membership fee that's due every year so that they can continue to be members of the synagogue and the synagogue can continue to function. And with that membership, often they receive a ticket to go to High Holy Days. Did you realize that? To go to High Holy Days, you need a ticket. And if you don't have a ticket, then you don't go to High Holy Days. Now, most of the memberships come with that ticket, but some memberships don't. So you have to pay extra when you get your ticket. Or maybe you're going to bring along family members, and so you'll have to bring, your grandchildren, and that's going to cost a ticket. Your neighbors, you want to invite them along, that's going to cost a ticket. And tickets can be anywhere from $350 to $1,000. Now, I will say that I know every synagogue I know of has discounts and even free admittance for those who need it. So it's not necessarily about charging you at the door and leaving anybody out to dry. But they are aware that most people don't come to weekly Shabbat. They just don't. Their services are small, and they show up on the High Holy Days. So, if you're a Jew, the time you're going to actually go to the synagogue, to temple, is going to be during the High Holy Days. And that's the time when it's going to cost you. Not because they're trying to get every penny out of you, but because it costs a lot to run a synagogue. So I was thinking about that, and I thought that's kind of crazy, but we have sort of the same situation in that fewer number of people actually come to service on a weekly basis. We get the CNE Christians. You ever heard of the CNE Christians? The Christmas and Easter regulars. They show up, and we definitely do not charge a seating fee, but I could kind of relate to why they do it that way. Because on a regular basis, those of us who come weekly are few. And in this service, we really feel it. But it's those big high holy days, our high holy days, that people actually do come. And we know that it is expensive to run a church. It's actually overwhelming if we were to think about how much it costs to attend a worship service. If we thought about what a ticket would be, it would probably blow all of our minds. So fortunately, that is not the way we work. You do not have to pay to play. There is no ticket at the door here. There's no register on the way out, because we believe that the gospel is not a transaction. You cannot buy belonging. You cannot swipe your card for grace. Neither does your presence actually cost you anything. You are absolutely welcome here. And even though we pass a plate, we do not mean that you have to put anything in it. But just like it doesn't cost you anything to be here, it also doesn't guarantee you anything to be here. So I'm not going to ask you for a ticket, but I'm also not going to give you a ticket to heaven either. Nor are we going to get a get out of jail free just for coming to church. That's not the way it works. But I was thinking about it, for those of you who might be here and are newer to our community, you might feel that this is a bit confusing given that we've spent the last month asking for pledges, talking about money, especially when we live in a world where almost everything is transactional. You know what I mean? Those who study giving trends recognize that generations come at this differently. We live at a time when tithing is nearly an ancient concept. Do you know what the tithe means? That's right, Christine, it's 10%. It's a tenth. Yeah, you got it over here too. So the tithe is 10%, and rarely do people actually give 10% of their income. For most people under 60, this hasn't been a part of our upbringing. Parenthetically, I will say that boomers are the last generation that, as a whole, grew up in the church. Where if you're a boomer, you remember when you grew up, everybody went to church. There was a church somewhere in your community. You may have even been able to walk to that church. It probably wasn't a place that you drove more than 10 miles to get to. It was a part of life. Well, for every generation since, it hasn't been a part of life. A small percentage of people, Gen Xers, have gone to church. But we are talking about, alive today, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha, all who have grown up culturally unchurched. So that means that church language and church tradition are foreign to them. So you can see why we have to get creative about how we connect with people, how we do church, and that also comes with how we give. Because in this day and age, we have learned that we have to make it all as simple as possible. Somebody told me 3 weeks ago, they said, I would have given money on the spot if the church had Venmo. And I was like, are you kidding me? We have Zelle. We have text to give. You can scan the QR code, but we don't have Venmo. We missed the opportunity. And I hate it when we miss opportunities. So it means that we have to push ourselves to think differently, that we have to do church differently because the world doesn't work the way it always did, and church definitely doesn't work the way it always did. That means we have to actually enact church differently. We have to be in relationship differently. We probably have to do our services differently. I'm so grateful for you all who are willing to be flexible with our church services, but we may have to reinvent that entirely. The good news is we have a really great option, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But we also have to think about how we allow people the opportunity to give differently. So for us, we're thinking about different sources of income of how to fundraise for our church. So one of those is attending fundraisers, and we have a really, really cool fundraiser that happens right now, about 4 times a year. We hope to make it more than that. And that's our drag queen bingo. Has anyone ever been to drag queen bingo at IUCC? It was so much fun. And we have a dessert auction there. It's a different experience. And so many people come that actually don't come to our church. So that's great if you've never been. If you have been, or if you haven't been, though, you really are missing out because it's such a good time. Ask the people who raise their hands. We love it. But we recognize that we have to be thinking differently about the way people give to church and the way we earn our income. One of the ways we do that is by rentals. So we rent our church out to like-minded organizations. And one of those organizations is the Wayward Artist. And the Wayward Artist is a theater company that its founding director and artistic director is our own Pastor Craig Turrell. He's somewhere around here. And they have moved into IUCC. So now they're one of our renters, and we have this shared commitment to bringing intentionally diverse experiences to our community. We do that differently, but sometimes there's overlap. So we're excited. The Christians is going to open up, their first show comes next Friday, and it's called The Christians. It is not a worship experience, although you may feel like you're having one. I haven't seen it yet, so I really don't know. But I do know that our music team is in it, and that's super exciting. So get your tickets if you're up for that. I'm told that Friday night already sold out. So they open this Friday, they're playing this next weekend, and then they're playing the weekend after that. But we have to think about how do we earn our income. So renting to people like-minded, the Goodwill out there. The Goodwill provides goodwill to our community. They encourage reusing things and recycling, and those are things that we value as we seek to care for the earth. So they help to contribute to our funding. But we're also mindful that means we have to push ourselves in other ways, like being online. So I'm actually of the age, I hate to admit it, where when someone says social media, I think Facebook. Like I got it. I'm on Facebook. I've been on it for 20 years almost. I don't know, something like that, right? Yeah, 20 years. I didn't get it on the first because I wasn't like in college, but I guess people were in college, they got it, but something like that, right? So that's what I think of. Yeah, we're online, we're on social media. But no, we actually have to be on more than Facebook. So IUCC is, don't worry, we've got a great digital ministry. Our digital storyteller, Dustin, who's usually up here playing the drums, has me on, of course we're on YouTube. I'm on Facebook and YouTube. I get that. I use those frequently. But we're also on Instagram, Insta, and TikTok. And we're just trying to push those places that we're at because we know that we can't expect people to just come to us. So I'm so excited that you all have come to us. But I recognize that meant that you had to wake up this morning, get dressed, get in your car, and drive over here. And probably most of you didn't have even the opportunity to walk 2 blocks to get to church like maybe the boomers did when you all grew up. If you're not a boomer, you never experienced that. You probably all got in a car today to get here. Did anybody ride a bike? Mike Wilcox rides his bike. We've got a couple of bike riders, but very few of us. Most of us have the experience of having to push beyond the norm. So we're countercultural by going to church today and by the fact that most of us have to go an extra distance to get here. That being said, we realize that we have to be mindful of how culture works. And for some people, giving is transactional. And there's nothing wrong with that inherently. That's because our culture has taught us that when we give money, we get something, right? It's just like the way we work. So that's why if you ever donate to something, like public radio, you usually give your money and then you get a coffee mug. Right? I always get they always send me the return stamps. Do you guys get those? I have so many return things. It's like, oh my gosh, please stop sending me them because I don't want them, but you keep sending me. Because I think, or a magnet, maybe you get that. Like, culturally, we're used to spending money and getting something. So it makes sense then that if you're not a boomer and you're not really used to just giving your money to the church for no reason, especially 10%. What are you, crazy? That's what most people think. Then we have to recognize how people do give. So, this year we don't have any mugs. We've had mugs in the past. One year I was like, let's get into this and let's give it out. But if you want a mug, I'm really happy to give you a mug. A pen? I am so happy to give you a pen. If you've already made your pledge and you need that, you just come and talk to me. Or if you've ever been to Drag Queen Bingo, you probably know that I am pretty darn good at auctioning off desserts. That's my big task. Actually, it's so hard. But believe it or not, I have sold cheesecake for $75. Right. It's not because I bet the cheesecake was worth $75. I'm sure it was. But that's because people were giving. They wanted to give money. It was just great to get something back in return, right? So I think we have to recognize that that's how some people give. And in doing so, we can help move people along to sort of shift our understanding of what it means to give. That we don't have to give for an incentive. We can move past that transactional relationship, but in order to do so, sometimes we have to meet people where they are and then show them that giving can be more than that. That giving can be about a shared purpose. It can be about community, what it means for us to be in community together. But if you're somebody who really wants that lemon crack cake that Don Maneo makes for Drag Queen Bingo, I am more than happy to auction it off to you today. He's not actually here, so I don't have any crack cake, but if that's what's keeping you from making a pledge this morning, I'm gonna get you Donnie's crack cake. I hope you're watching online. He's not here, but Donnie, I may need one. So the truth of the matter is that while I hate talking about money in church, it's the way we can exist. Renee Boehm is a longtime leader in the church, and she always says the church doesn't run on prayers alone. So we do need money. And I recognize that most of you at this second service, you haven't been here very long, and so you're probably more in need of a t-shirt than having to give us money. I want you to feel the love, and we're glad that you're here. But I will say what's pretty cool about IUCC is that this is one of the few places left in the world where your giving doesn't just keep the lights on, which is something we actually need, but it actually grows the light. When we give of ourselves, we magnify the light. Yeah, it pays the bills, but giving at IUCC fuels our music ministry. It helps to grow our youth ministry and our young adult ministry, which is really growing right now. I'd love to tell you all about it back there. They have so much fun. There's a queer and disabled game night that Joy runs on what Saturday? It's on the last Saturday of every month. The young adult group they were playing trivia night. Anybody play trivia night with young adults this week? They placed pretty well too. So we have this incredibly, you guys were at the Sacred Sunday last Sunday. Our young adult ministry is growing because of Pastor Rachel. And the pledges that have been made now are making it possible for us to grow even more. So today I'm really not pitching it, even though it might sound like it. Today I'm here to just show gratitude. So many people have already pledged. As Connie showed you, we're really close on our thermometer. We're hoping we're going to get there. But what your pledges and what the pledges of the church have done is enable us to be able to start a brand new ministry here. And we're looking at 2026 beginning a theater ministry, something we've talked a lot about and we've dabbled in our relationship with the Wayward Artists. We are looking forward to seeing how we might do more with Craig Turrell, who is currently our administrative pastor, as we give him a new title of Pastor of Stewardship and the Arts. That will mean that we may see more drag queen bingos, more opportunities for fun, reaching out to folks, and fueling different avenues for raising funds. It may also mean, something I'm pretty excited about, that we might even have a third service that will be a theater service. So completely different than the preaching and the standing up and sitting down and the giving kind of thing. So we're excited about that. That's going to happen once a month. Cross your fingers, we hope. We're just about there. And we're excited to see what Pastor Rachel can do as we give her more hours and more opportunities to grow with our young people. She works with our kids, our youth, their families, and our young adults. So that's a lot of folks, and that's the generations that we want to continue growing in our church. What we're seeing is not just staff changes. These gifts are signs of our growth, right? Of life among us, that we can continue to do new things, that we're not stuck, stagnant, doing the same old thing. We're a congregation that believes we have a future. And that's really exciting. And I want to say it's really exciting for those of you here, because what I witnessed as we came together as a service, as a second service, was a belief in who you are and what it means to be church. We believe that there's a future, that we're not going to close the doors and shut down. And I think that's a powerful thing to have hope that there's more to come. So I'm really excited. We're a church that believes we can actually be church now and in the future. And that's really the good news, that the purpose of the church isn't a line item. It's not to send out bills. It's to have a shared life, to be in community together, to be part of a transformation. Because I believe that you are a good person whether or not you ever come back and sit in these seats. You don't come here for me to validate you. You don't need my validation. If you do, though, I would just love to say that I am so glad that you are here, and every single one of you is a beloved child of God, and if anybody tells you differently, tell them to come talk to me. But your presence at church isn't about the person you are. Your presence at church means you're looking for a community to travel the road with, an opportunity to refuel when the week has been hard, to have this sacred and intentional space where you can be in prayer, in connection to God, and in connection with others who seek the same. So I hope that you know that your presence here at IUCC matters. Your presence here in this space, in this very time, matters. The simple gifts, as we sing every single week, that our lives are the offering. We're the offering. The gifts that you give by being present make a difference. We don't even always recognize how much of a difference it makes, but time after time, I hear people tell stories about what it's like to find a church where they feel welcomed and affirmed for just who they are. Our presence matters. Your presence matters. So this is a thank you. It's not a pitch. Thank you for giving your gifts. I have so much gratitude to those of you who have shared your lives, your stories, and the gifts of your personhood with us. We're about to make a blessing of the pledges that came in. I don't have them physically, but most of us gave them electronically anyways. If you felt like you wanted to give a pledge, we do have some outstanding. You could just go online to iucc.org/giving and give it that way. But I'm just going to imagine that all the electronic pledges are out there in the air somewhere. I don't really understand it. The pledges are out there with the Spirit. And so, with hearts full of gratitude and hands ready to build, may we bless these pledges. We trust that God will take what we offer and help it to grow beyond what we can imagine. And so for these gifts of generosity, for this commitment to community, for a vision that extends beyond ourselves, and a hope for a more peaceable kingdom, we offer our blessings. May these pledges further Jesus' ministry among us as we all together grow into our 46th year as Irvine United Congregational Church. Say together with me, amen. Amen. And now I'm going to pass it off to our Stewardship Woman of the Hour, Jerry.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, for the culmination of this stewardship campaign, we'll be taking this wall of planks and repurposing them as a foundation.
Okay. Kind of felt like this was a little bit like Jenga. You know, like, is something gonna fall? Here you go. Let's build this thing. You got it?
Yeah. So one of my favorite Bible quotations is from Revelation, chapter 22. It's in reference to the tree of life. It says, "And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations." Well, I like to think that all of us are leaves on that tree, and that we are all called to help heal the nations. And now I get to introduce the newest member of our church. His name is Stewie. Yeah, and he's a new resident in our garden, and he will be surrounded, he'll be off the patio, and he'll be surrounded by the bricks that people donated money to have their names on the bricks. So, Michael, Adam, can you put Stewie on his new foundation?
All right.
Thank you. So may Stewie be a reminder of how important this church is to this community and how important we each are to this church. Amen.
Amen. So, brothers and sisters, siblings in Christ, go out into this world with all of its heaviness and brokenness, with violence and the darkness that literally descends upon us way too early every week, every day now, 5 o'clock. That physical and metaphorical darkness that's out there. And know that you are not alone. You are of the light, and you magnify the light. So walk knowing that you do so, held in a community that values you, that cherishes you, that knows that you are a beloved child of God, and the darkness shall never overcome it. So siblings, go from this place carrying that beautiful, gorgeous, shining light. Amen.
We have all witnessed your presence. We have received your grace. We give you honor and glory for moving in this place. Now we go out to share the good news. Now we go out to share your love. Now we go out to share the good news. Now we go out to share your love. Carry the light and carry the light. Carry the light to all the earth. Carry the light and carry the light. Carry the light of Jesus Christ. Carry the light, carry the light. Carry the light to all the